All right, so it is the day after the 2022 primary election in South Carolina. I was up till God knows when last night. I got the Loveland coffee red eye here, which is literally the only thing that's keeping me from passing out. There we go. Not an advertiser, but some of the best coffee in Columbia there. Loveland coffee. This is the red eye. Big night in Palmetto politics, people. Big night. A lot of races that we've been following for several months. We finally got answers last night. And I think the biggest storyline from where I sit is that it was a mixed bag for former U.S. President Donald Trump. Now, if you've been following FITSNews, we were the first news outlet to report that Trump was going to get heavily involved in both the 7th Congressional District and the 1st Congressional District. Now, everyone assumed he was going to go after Congressman Tom Rice up in the 7th District. Rice, of course, was one of only 10 Republican members of Congress who voted to impeach Trump in the aftermath of the January 6th rioting at the U.S. Capitol. So everyone knew that was going to happen. But the Mace one, that was a story that this news outlet had the front burner on. We were at the very tip of the spear on that story, drove it for several months. And, of course, last November, Trump did come out and court challengers to run against Nancy Mace. He endorsed her opponent in this race, Katie Arrington, and Arrington lost. Last night, Nancy Mace carried that race, probably ended up being about 6% margin, roughly what the exclusive polling that we reported on a week before the race from the Trafalgar Institute over there in Atlanta, Georgia. They predicted about a 6-point spread for Nancy Mace. That's looking like what it will end up. But that race was a huge, huge win for Nancy Mace, but it was also perhaps an even bigger win for Nikki Haley. Nikki Haley, the former governor of South Carolina, Trump's former UN ambassador, she raised a ton of money for Nancy Mace. She cut television ads for Nancy Mace, and during the last 48 hours of this race, barnstormed the 1st District, campaigning on behalf of Nancy Mace. This was a smart play by Haley. I got to say this. Nikki Haley played this primary season better than anybody I've seen. She got into the Nancy Mace race before Trump endorsed Arrington, so she gets to say, hey, I was already supporting her. I wasn't going up against the president. I was supporting her. He came in after the fact on the other side. What can I do? Haley was also incredibly smart not to jump into the 7th District race and support the incumbent there, Tom Rice, who, by the way, Tom Rice owed that seat to Nikki Haley because back in 2012, she was the one whose endorsement propelled him to victory in a runoff election for that seat. So say what you will about Nikki Haley, but she played this primary process incredibly well, and I think it's going to accrue to her benefit on the national stage down the road because, folks, let's not confuse the issue here. These two races were not necessarily about who's going to represent the citizens of the 1st and 7th District. Okay, they were a proxy war. They were a battle between Trump and the Republican establishment over direction of the party. Who controls the direction of the party? More importantly, they were a battle over the 2024 presidential primary, in which Trump, no doubt, will be a candidate, and Nikki Haley is either positioning to be his vice president or could run herself. We'll have to see, but again, Trump gets a split decision last night in South Carolina in those congressional primaries, but the big winner, former Governor Nikki Haley.